This is our neuron. So over here we have the soma. It's kind of like the quarterback because it kind of like runs the whole thing. And the nucleus is kind of like the brain of the quarterback because it's like the thinking. Then we have the dendrite, which is over here. And the dendrite is kind of like the receiver because it receives the information like wide receiver in football. And the dendritic spine is kind of like its hands because that's where like it specifically receives it. The axons over here are kind of like a running back, so it kind of like runs the ball and like kind of gives it over to the other person. And the axon terminal buttons are kind of like his hands also, like handing over like the neurotransmitters, which are like the ball. And then the myelin sheath over here protects them. It's like their equipment, because it like protects like the axon. The synaptic vesicle is kind of like the running back's gloves because it protects the neurotransmitter, what the ball is. Synaptic vesicle is over here, right there. The synapse is like the distance between the two like people, because there's actually obviously distance between them. The receptor sites is kind of like where the receiver receives the ball, because it's like that's where he receives it. This is the presynaptic neuron over here because it's before it has the ball and it's handing over to the post synaptic neuron over there because that's the one that's getting the ball then. The nodes of Ranvier are like the nodes in between the myelin sheath. That's like the area where the pads are not covered. And then the action potential is like it needs a stimulus to start up like its whole like situation, which is kind of like the calling hike in football because that's like what starts to play. The all or none principle is like you either get it all of it or you don't. It's kind of like in football, you either get the yardage or you don't get all the yardage. You don't get the first down stuff. The resting potential is the potential for it to actually I would say it's like the potential for it to actually fire. It's like it can do it like almost any time as long as it has resting potential. And the depolarization is when the sodium ions rush in and the potassium ions rush out. And the reputake is like when it takes back it's the ball basically.